Welcome to an experience powered by Pipe TV.
You are now watching Pipe TV.
Hello everyone, welcome to Pipe TV. I'm your host, Marcie Novella. Our next guest is a vet, and she has a great story to tell. Please welcome Simone Schwartz. Hi, Simone.
Hi, thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome. Welcome to the show. Now, we're here to talk about your vet experience, and let me start by asking you, what year did you join the military?
2006.
And how long was you in service?
So I only served for a little under 2 years.
Only?
Yes.
There's some people that don't do that, so.
Yes. Well, unfortunately, my service was cut short by an injury that I had happen in the military. But this experience and my PTSD that led from it has completely changed my life. And for about 10 years, it changed my life negatively. But once I was finally diagnosed with PTSD, the next 10 years were positively affected by it, by my healing journey, and what subsequently led me to write a book about PTSD so that I could pass on my story and my healing journey that's helped myself.
Now, PTSD is something that we don't talk about enough, but there should be an awareness month regarding that. Please,
Yes.
Can you tell people what PTSD stands for?
Yes, it stands for post-traumatic stress disorder. Some are calling it a disease now. That there's, as the medical information becomes more available and there's more studies on it, doctors are taking a different approach on it.
Now, without getting too personal, how can someone be evaluated to get the right diagnosis?
So a lot of people, especially in America, might have PTSD and not even know it. I feel like I've been put here to raise awareness about the different kinds of traumas that cause PTSD that aren't talked about as much, such as sexual assault, military sexual trauma, which is what I endured, gun violence, inner city violence. All these things, as well as domestic violence, can cause PTSD. So it's not only being in combat overseas, you can have combat in the streets of America and acquire PTSD symptoms.
Now, do you find that PTSD is popular more with women or men? Is it equal?
Well, the new studies out tend to lean that women are more vulnerable to developing PTSD. And what happens is any kind of trauma, you you can develop, sleepless nights, restlessness, a little bit of depression. But what makes PTSD happen is that if you experience these symptoms that affect your life, affect your life to the point where you can't cope and function, and over a month span. So if over a month or two these symptoms don't go away, then you can be diagnosed with PTSD from any form of trauma. It doesn't have to be just combat.
Now, I got a question to ask you, and I just want your opinion on this. Is it possible for someone to have psychological problems before they get into the military, and then they come into the military and the military don't catch it?
So before you sign up for the military and are accepted, you do go through a battery of extensive tests and medical evaluations, psychological evaluations. So the military does tend to catch and disqualify you if you do have prior mental illness or physical ailments.
So you have to go through a screening process. I'm saying this because I'm not affiliated with the military. I have a law enforcement background. We have a psychological exam where we have to be asked 1,000 questions. And that is part of the process of screening people. Unfortunately, you have some people out there that falls between the cracks. And when they do, sometimes later, they lose their jobs. So I'm just trying to show that the military do a more intense background check. So when someone is diagnosed with PTSD, this has to be that it came afterwards. It wasn't something that was lingering before. Am I correct?
Yes, you're correct.
So you have a project that you're working on. You got it in your hands.
Yes.
Please let people know about your projects.
So this is my new book set to release in 2025. And it has been 20 years in the making, but what makes my book so different is that it's a step-by-step guide. I have actual steps that people can use to actively help their PTSD symptoms. When you are having PTSD and in a daily battle with it, it's really hard to search and find solutions from all the different websites out there and information out there. So I wanted to compile it and make it really easy for people that are going through it to look at the list of therapies and see what they might want to try.
Now, are these all your experiences, or were you able to interview other people to come to the conclusion?
So if I have tried the therapy, I write about it and tell my experience. But I have a lot of listed therapies that I have not tried. So, I'm listing as much as possible because I believe a good combination of traditional therapies and non-traditional therapies can be used together to help your PTSD symptoms. And I also founded a nonprofit that was one of the first in the country to give service dogs to sexual assault survivors with PTSD. So I'm a big proponent for service dogs for PTSD. So not only for combat PTSD, but sexual assault PTSD. Service dogs really are a great match for sexual assault survivors.
And how did they come to that conclusion? What do you think?
So, personally, I feel that because sexual assault is a crime, is a trauma done by another person, the fact that the service dog is an animal really is easier for the survivor to create a bond with them and feel safe with the dog. Not only is it a tactile stimulation that can help soothe the nervous system, it can also create a sense of safety, having a dog with them 24/7. For a sexual assault survivor, they, they feel alone. They can have a lot of problems with sleeping, a lot of problems with being in public. So the fact that the service dog is with them 24/7 can really accelerate healing compared to just seeing your counselor once a week.
Yeah,
So.
that's really good to get to the point where the dog gives comfort. I have
Yes.
worked in the canine unit, so I can relate to how much comfort a dog can even give their partners.
Right.
And it's been really rewarding to see the connection between the handler and also the canine.
Yes. Yep.
And tell me personally, are you a pet owner?
Yeah, so my service dog, Gunner, he was the reason that I started the nonprofit. I was graciously accepted in one of the vet programs that gives service dogs to veterans, but they were catering more to combat. They told me that, the founder told me that they have so many military sexual trauma survivors reach out to them that they're overwhelmed, that their nonprofit can't help everybody. So that was what gave me the idea that, and with their assistance, to start a nonprofit just catering to sexual assault survivors. And the fact that a lot of civilians don't have access to service dogs because most of the nonprofits just cater to veterans, I wanted to also help citizens who have been assaulted and have PTSD. I wanted to give them service dogs as well.
So tell us your pet's name.
Gunner.
Shout him out.
Hey, Gunner. I'd like to say hi to my kids too. Again, the service dog is family, but we're all family. The dogs become, not only a medical equipment for you, but family. So, yeah.
That's beautiful.
He was the reason for giving me so much confidence, because I do have PTSD, even though my symptoms are really well handled now, thank God. But he was the reason that really showed me that I could do things on my own, that I could be in public, I could, talk to people, and not be so shy anymore. So.
Well, when we come back, we're going to have more of a conversation, more about what brings you comfort. You just stay tuned on Marcie Novella with Pipe TV.
You are now watching Pipe TV.
Welcome back to Pipe TV. I'm your host, Marcie Novella. We're here with Simone Schwartz. Now, Simone, in the previous part of this episode, we discussed animals and how they bring comfort to those that has PTSD. But what we didn't talk about is the different types of comfort. Can you explain?
Yes. So I also just want to reference this book. I wrote a chapter in it about service dogs and sexual assault, but this book is from one of the leading medical publications out there, and it's one of the leading research that has been done on all kinds of service animals, equine, avian, and also ESAs, which are emotional support animals. So there is a difference between service dogs and an emotional support animal. Service dogs are strictly medical equipment. They are strictly for a medical need and necessity, and they are protected by law, so they can go into hospitals, into the public, into grocery stores. But ESAs, emotional support animals, are not allowed to be in the public. They are for people who need emotional support and not necessarily medical support. So ESAs can be, a snake, a bird, a dog, or your cat. A lot of people who have animals they might have support from the animals and not really realize how emotionally connected and how it helps soothe their nervous system, how it adds to their life and helps with their stress. But this book does go into the scientific research that animals really, when you have a connection and bond to them, it can help so many ailments, heart disease, stress, PTSD. It can really, it's scientifically proven now that they really help us.
Now, let me just ask you, unfortunately, at some point, the pet does pass.
Yes.
Does that put the person back with a relapse because now they don't have that support?
Well, speaking with service dogs, and I highly recommend counseling for anybody with PTSD or anybody who's endured trauma. So that what my counselor helped me with is that they prepared me for the fact that if you choose to have a service dog, they are going to pass at some point. So either you're going to be preparing for that point and building your own skills so that you know, okay, once this dog passes, I'm going to be able to do it on my own. Or, okay, I'm going to need to retrain a whole new dog. But a service dog, I feel, is just a tool. It's not going to be a complete fix, to alleviate your symptoms, but it's just another tool in your toolkit that's going to help you with your symptoms. So you're going to need to, do all your kind of healing work, go to therapy, and have your service dog is most beneficial.
So it sounds like you would have to get a good therapist to help you through the process. Have you experienced a good therapist?
I have, and it's been a huge blessing. But I've also experienced a bad therapist who didn't understand my background or my specific form of trauma. So I really encourage people that when they're looking for a therapist to treat it like a job interview. They need to understand your socioeconomic background, your racial background, all types of factors, and your trauma background.
And somebody that specializes in PTSD, right?
Exactly. Whatever you specifically need and your background, I encourage that you find the right counselor that understands that, or else it can lead to more trauma if your counselor doesn't understand exactly, like I said, your background and what you've been through. But I do recommend counselors for anyone. I feel that mental health is your responsibility, but healthy people go to therapy.
Yes.
Unhealthy people don't go to therapy. And
there's nothing wrong with going to therapy.
Exactly.
So, have you ever experienced group therapy or speaking to people who are going through a similar situation like you?
Yes. So when I started my nonprofit, the survivors that reached out, that wanted to support the nonprofit, that became so freeing that I shared my story, they shared theirs. It was very therapeutic to meet other survivors that had been through the same thing that I had. And that's another thing that people can do, is join a support group.
How did you find your support group?
Well, so I found my support by, again, it took a leap of faith in sharing my story. I had been off of social media for a while because of my PTSD symptoms, but I got sick of being at that spot, of not having connection, of not sharing my story, keeping it a secret. So when I finally decided to share my story, it was very, like I said, very therapeutic, an amazing moment for me that brought community to me. That, I found other survivors that said, oh, I thought I was the only one. And of course, we're not the only one. And people with PTSD, there's so many of us, unfortunately, living in America that go through a lot of trauma. So don't ever think that you're the only one, because there's a lot of people that experience PTSD symptoms. And the good news is that it is treatable. It doesn't have to be a life sentence.
So we didn't talk about you personally. Do you have family members in the military? How did you come to, what branch did you serve?
I was in the Army.
Yeah, so were you encouraged by family to join the military?
Well, my grandfather served in World War II, and my uncle served in Vietnam. So I felt, a personal connection and wanted to carry on the family legacy. So that's one of the main reasons I did sign up for the military. But unfortunately, because of my assault and the traumatic brain injury that occurred to me with the assault in the military, seeing the way that the military treated its own and didn't support its own, it really left like a bitter taste in my mouth towards the military.
I'm so sorry.
After that point. But again, we've got to find our own solutions, and that's what has really helped my life. If it wasn't for that trauma, I wouldn't be as healthy a person as I am today. I wouldn't be looking for mental health solutions. I wouldn't be exercising daily. Not only do animals and service animals help PTSD, exercise is a huge part of my recovery.
Did I heard you correctly? You exercise every day?
I try to. And it's not only, well, for my main reason, it's not so much for the benefit for my body as it is for my mind. I really can tell.
How long is a typical exercise day for you?
You know what? I don't go hard at the gym, but I can spend hours there, and it's it's when I can be working on social media and doing a leg workout and talking to other people at the gym, building community there. But yeah, I can spend hours at the gym. If I've had a stressful week, I definitely will spend hours at the gym because it feels so good mentally. It's a big stress relief, and I think that's a missing part of PTSD recovery, is that people just think, oh, I need to go to therapy and I'll be good. Oh, I just need a service dog and I'll be good. But you really have to incorporate the mental aspect, the spiritual aspect, the community, and the physical. And that's what I go over in my book. And that's the way, if you really want to improve your life and get over your trauma, so to speak, then you're going to have to do more than just therapy.
So I want you to tell the audience once again about your books and where they could find information.
All right. So, yes, my website is ptsdandwhathelpedme.com, and this is the cover of the book. It's going to be available on Amazon within the next couple months, so please sign up for my email list on my website, and you'll be alerted when it first comes out on Amazon. And this book that I wrote the chapter in is also available on Amazon. It's available on the Elsevier website. And this is a great resource for anybody wanting to self-train a service dog or look into the scientific and medical research surrounding service animals and ESAs. And it's the leading research out there.
And tell everybody where they can follow you at.
So all my social media platforms are the same, PTSD and What Helped Me. I'm on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. And also my service dog has his own Instagram, which is Service Dog in New York, all spelled out on Instagram. So I really appreciate the support because my mission is to make PTSD, again, not a stigma, and to let people know that PTSD can be acquired by many different traumatic situations and that PTSD is treatable. So never give up.
Well, I want to thank you, Simone, for coming to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you to the whole military for allowing people to tell this story about PTSD. That's not something that we talked about before, and now you bringing awareness. So I want to thank you so much.
Thank you.
I want to thank all the people who've made a difference with speaking about this. Brother Michael, thank you so much for bringing this subject up. I know it's very dear to you.
Yes, it is. Thank you.
So please join us on another episode of Pike TV. I'm your host, Marcie Novella. Please follow me on all major social media platforms. And please also look out for my show, The Love of Our Community Speaks. I want to thank you so much, Simone, for coming to the show. Thank you for Pike TV for this very important episode. Good night, everyone, and thank you so much for listening.